the whole thing with Ozzy Osbourne happened like that to me. So, do you have time for this story, or is it?
Dude, I have time for it. I'm actually surprised you went there because I know you famously have referred to this story as being the beauty queen runner-up. I mean, this is a merit to what kind of caliber guitar player you are, though. So tell the story.
Yeah. Oh no, I've told this story so many times for interviews and books. It's in books. It's in everything. So it's a great story. It's a major part of my history. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. I was with Kramer Guitars. Kramer Guitars in the 80s was a huge guitar company. They took over when Eddie Van Halen, started endorsing them. I didn't have a record deal back then. I was just in a really good band, and I was in a music store. I was playing, doing a demonstration of the Floyd Rose tremolo. I had just gotten one, and I was doing a clinic there. And here's an example of the story. Floyd Rose himself was there at the clinic. So Floyd Rose at the end of the clinic goes, "My God, what an incredible player you are." He goes, you should have an endorsement from Kramer. And I said, "Well, I don't even have a record deal or anything." He goes, "No." He says, next thing I know, the president of Kramer at the time, Dennis Berardi, he comes to the music store where I was at. And he says, "I understand I have to give you an endorsement." So that started this, and the whole thing started, snowballing. So they decided they were going to take me on as their own project. So someone in the company was going to manage me and this and that. So the thing for Ozzy Osbourne comes up. I'll never forget. It's a Wednesday. So I get a phone call early Wednesday morning, and it's the president of Kramer. And he goes, "Hey, we had sent your Jakey Lee's out of Ozzy. We sent your video out, and Sharon Osbourne wants to see you." And I'm going, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah." I said, "So," I said, "So what? Next week or something?" They go, "No, today. You're booked on a plane. You got to get going right now." So I had to get on a plane, get to California. They booked the ticket and everything. So I get there. Ozzy's guy that his runner picks me up to the airport and brings me to the hotel. They give me some cash. They give me a beautiful room. And that's where I had met Zakk Wylde. Now, the thing is that they had kind of already had played with Zakk. They had already played with him, and they kind of had, they liked him already. Sharon saw my video and was kind of like, "Well, we better see this guy." So I went and I did an audition with Phil and Randy Castile, bass and drums. No Ozzy, but Sharon sat in on my audition. She sat there, which she didn't do for the other ones. I guess she wanted to see if, what she just spent all this money on a plane ticket, if I could play. So I played, and I was right on the mark. I did the songs really good. She goes, "Okay, I'm going to keep you here. And you're going to play with Ozzy." So the next day, really, I could tell by shaking your head. I know, insane, right? He goes, so the next day I'm picked up, I'm brought to this bigger studio that has a big rehearsal stage in it. And in walks Ozzy. Now, this is the time frame. I don't know if you remember when Ozzy had shaved his head and he had gotten that big tattoo on his show, on this area here or whatever. And so
I don't think he can tell you when he got that tattoo, but I know the time period you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, he did, he was a little, he was a little out of it, but, there was one guy, oh my God, I'll never forget this. There was one guy, I don't know how he got in there, a guy from Sweden. I don't know who he was. I don't know his name. He was on stage playing. Now I'm sitting back in the audience and I'm watching this. So they're doing Flying High again. And this is when Yngwie Malmsteen had started to become real popular, a Swedish guitar player, Yngwie Malmsteen, So this guy's from Sweden. So it comes to the part in Flying High, the famous part that Randy Rhoads did where he's doing the tapping thing, the descending tapping line. Well, because this guy was from Sweden, he decided he wanted to try and do it the way Yngwie would. he started doing all this, these sweeping arpeggios of that part instead of going, you know, the nice tapping thing. Well, Ozzy was standing behind him. He heard it and he made like he was strangling him and then made like he was stabbing him with a knife. This is all behind his back. And then the kid turned around and Ozzy gave him the thumbs up like that. You know, it was just, but now keep in mind, I'm watching all this and I'm going like, I'm going like, holy shit, you know, I got to go up here next, you know? So I went up and I was having a good day. I kept my eye on him a little bit. But we started off with, I don't know. And Ozzy would do this thing where he'd grab the mic and he'd go back and forth with it like that, you know, the rocking thing. So when I saw him started doing that, the band was really gelling. And then when I went into the solo, he got down right in front of the amp and listened to me solo. Now, you know, I learned solos, but I'll never sit and learn a solo note for note. I take all the parts that are necessary that you would miss. You know, so I kind of do it, but I always add something to myself in there. You know, I don't want to be a carbon copy of anything. But so I did it and they loved it. And I did like 4 songs and a guitar solo. And then when I was done, Sharon and Ozzy sat me down and said, hey, it's between you and Zach. And it was like, you know, my heart's going, what the hell's just happening here? You know, so it was one of those things. I ended up going home. I hadn't heard anything. And then, you know, I had heard the news. Now it was kind of like, and of course I had met Zach. Zach came to my room that night that I was in the thing. So here's Zach, this very nice, clean cut looking kid from the 80s. Nothing like the Viking that he looks now, you know. He comes to my room, I hear a knock on my door, I open it up, and there's Zach holding 2 Coca-Colas. Hands me one, and he wants the jam. So I was already all, you know, fired up. So he goes, gets this little Rockman. He comes down with his Les Paul. I'm in my room with my Kramer, and I'm wailing through it. And I must have really impressed him because he said, after he got the gig, he said at a guitar clinic in California, and a friend of mine was there to hear it. He said, I didn't think I had the gig after I heard this guitar player, Jimmy Bell, play, which was a huge, very nice compliment for him to say. But it really meant a lot to me that he even said that, you know.
I think that shows his level of class. There's a lot to unpack with this story. Number one, it's a lifelong credit that is a testament to your credentials, because only the best in the world get called in for that, right? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
No. You're the guest. What does Jimmy Bell want to say right now?
No, but I want to hear what you have to say too.
I mean, I've talked to George Lynch, who was in the running for that post at one point. I've talked to other artists who got jobs with Ozzy as drummers or vocalists, and it didn't go so great. So there's no telling how the gig would have gone, how you got it. I mean, but the fact that you're in the running is sort of a warrant to what you can do and what you could do then and what you can even do now, probably at an even higher high octane rate. I mean, this thing, you don't get in there unless you're fantastic. But the other thing that comes to mind in your story, like is sort of like a footnote, is when you get the shot, play the notes. You know, like the other guy did. The other guy decided it was his show.
No. Well, I played the notes. Don't get what I said.
No, I know you did. I know, but the guy previous like went on his own sort of.
But what he did was, like I said, I'll play most everything the way it should be, but he went off on a tangent that was nothing like what it should be. You know, there's certain things you don't mess with. And I'll give you an example. A solo like Flying High Again. It's a very, very set solo. Like even if you did a few things different before that tapping part, that's okay. But when it comes time to do that descending tapping part, you can't alter that because it's something that everybody will miss if you don't do it. It's sort of like now, with Autograph, the only solo that they asked that I learned, a note for note, if I could, would be Turn Up the Radio, because it's such a classic solo that, and it's one of the best guitar solos that was ever written for a rock song like that. You know, it's so well thought out. Steve did an amazing job with it. If I didn't do the, the tapping thing and all the little things, it would be sadly missed. And then they'd be going, why the hell did they get this guy, to play guitar for Autograph,
They were known as Lucifer and the Men with Painted Faces. When they burned New Orleans to the ground. And when they sacked Panama, I knew that my road to redemption would be paved with tombstones. And by the time they brought the apocalypse to West Africa and the Indian Ocean, I would come to know two words with biblical significance. No quarter. No quarter. Kill All Masters. Rated R. Coming soon. Available on all platforms. Visit noquarterkillallmasters.com.